What's poppin', everyone? Venomous Stare, thoroughly hammered, queuing into a game of 2v2 on Shrines of Linzul. This is an exceptionally small map. This is pretty much just named the cheese map because it's so small. This is the map in 2v2 that you're pretty much required to cheese on. Now let me talk about the overlord spots as Zerg. You want to put your first one here, your second one there, but oftentimes you'll have to hide them in the corners. Players are very aware of the fact that the rush distance is very short on this map, and that means that you have to be wary of your overlords. Many Terran players will open one Marine and hunt down overlords as opposed to Reaper. It is the more effective opening. One of the most powerful Zerg builds to do, by the way, I'm playing with a random, and I'm too drunk to fucking type and talk. So essentially, since Shrines of Linzul is so exceptionally short rush distance, here's what you want to do. You want to go hatchery first on the gold, and then you want to gas pool.
We require more minerals.
You can see the Terran is trying to wall in. Looks like 2-gate opener. So one thing that you want to do is whenever you show your overlords, you want to hide them. Now that might seem obvious, but here's the difference. If you just keep your overlord parked right here, this idiot never sees it. If you run it in here to scout, he knows it's there. He might make a Marine to fuck with you. So if you tip your hand off to a Terran, probably a good idea to run the overlord back. If you tip it off to a Protoss, it doesn't matter. Look at that, his Cybercore is only halfway done. It's not like, oh, as soon as the barracks done, a Marine comes.
We require more Vespine gas.
So one of the most important things is just to transfer about a dozen workers. The crux of the build that I'm doing, it's a Ling Bane all in, and my Baneling nest is about 50 gas short that should have been made at 50 gas. But that's okay, I'm dead drunk. You know, I can't be expected to macro perfectly. But here we see that the gold base has optimal worker saturation. Now what I want to go for here is I want to get 12 workers on the gold exactly. That's all I'm really concerned about. After that, I'm going to pump lings. You see this Reaper here? The fact that I didn't make any lings before that is a mistake. And I'm also lacking a queen. So this is a big error that I've made in my play. And we can see here the Reaper's going to do damage. Gets a drone. Let's see if I can save the other. I'm going to be able to. A Reaper getting one drone isn't the end of the world. And we can see my teammate is just going to make lings and attack the wall. Now let me explain why this is a shitty strategy. If you go Reaper versus this, it's auto loss for Zerg. If you make one Marine behind the wall, it's auto loss for Zerg. If you make a tank behind the wall, it's auto loss for Zerg. If you make a Hellion behind the wall, it's auto loss for Zerg. Look how stupid this guy is. Just fucking back up. What do you have, shit inside your brains? So this guy knows we're Bane busting, and he's fucking made a bunch of stuff in his wall in preparation. But this dumb, talentless piece of shit can't figure it out. He's just gonna lose half of his lings at the fucking wall in for no reason. God, this guy is dim. I'm gonna run in here without any talent or worth. Fucked up on one Bane there. But you see the difference between Baneling and Zergling. Zerglings run up at your opponent's wall, and they're a fucking joke. Banelings run in, and that's a threat. If you run in with Banelings, that's some serious shit that your opponent has to respect. If you fucking run in with Lings at a wall in, who cares? And that's a great ally that my idiotic fucking ally can learn. A great lesson that my idiotic ally can learn, excuse me, as I float money like a motherfucker. I know that's off kilter. So the trick here, it can I'm very hammered. It can very very often be very tempting to just throw your lings away. You want to be conservative with your lings. But here he's running 5 zealots out. There's no threat at all. You know, if he had archons or tanks, I might be scared. But notice how that I'm macroing. This is one of the key focuses that you want to make whenever you do Zerg aggression. Is whenever you are aggressive, you want to tech behind it. You don't want to get in the situation where you're constantly fucking making attacking units and you're just dead set on killing your opponent. No. Do severe damage and make drones. I'm going to make a macro hatch here, inject. Already have a third. So, I don't know if you've noticed, but see how this is a drone? And see how my Terran opponent tried to do a mule hammer play here and he was immediately denied? Doesn't work. See, this is a live FP VOD. I'm not casting this after the fact. I'm doing this live. Just completely drunk. And if you notice here, I have about 2 base saturation and my dumbass opponent here has about 1 base. So this is one thing that you want to do in 2v2. Is click 1 ling out of your control group and set it on patrol. Now that's a short patrol, but I set these lings on like every fucking base patrol. Patrol is the hotkey that uses P, and it's the hotkey that you use to observe idle bases. Now I'm going to go for Hydra here, as well as an Evo chamber. The idea here is that I'm going to tech to Lurker. One of the things that I'm looking for here is about 66 workers. Because my ally has mass lings out here, I'm not worried about my opponent just doing a fuck it push. What is a fuck it push? A fuck it push is when your opponent gets frustrated off of their prolonged 1 base play and just says fuck it and attacks. Now it's very important to figure out the amount of bases your opponent is on, because if you're under the impression that they're on 1 base and they're not on 1 base, you essentially are just relying on false information. You're sitting there with your dick in your hand playing a certain way when it's not actually true. So this means that you just have to continuously scout. Notice that I'm keeping lings on the outside bases constantly. Now in Shrines of Linzul, it's pretty damn tight.
Allies are in combat.
I'm going to make a safety spore just in case he goes DT or he's been massing air. I have extra drones. I have a lot of money at the moment. I'm just going to try not to stay oversaturated. I'm going to try to pump Hydra.
Our allies are in combat.
Let's think what the Toss can have. He can have Hydra. Or excuse me, he can have Robo units. And he can have a lot of other stuff. Now, what is the other stuff you might be asking? Could be air, could be storm, could be a lot of things. But with my ally looking very solid here, I'm not really concerned about it. I sort of expect this game to end in 30 seconds, if I'm going to be completely fucking honest with you. I'm going to make a big round of Hydras. I'm going to A-move across the map. And since this guy's ally has been so far behind, I just expect a free win. Now you can see this guy is going Archons, but the crux of the issue here is that this player is not on multiple bases. This is a guy who is in very dire straits.
We require more minerals.
And he leaves, and that's the game. Subscribe for more.